And we are live. Welcome back, guys, to the studio. We're back with Timcast and the whole crew.
Yeah, we're here with the Timcast squad, guys. So real quick announcement, guys. No intro. We're just going to say rumble.com/freshfit, castleclub.tv. Make sure to check us out over there, guys. This conversation is probably going to head to Rumble towards the end because we're going to talk about a certain topic.
Them boys.
That you know how you
We have
twist.
to.
But anyway, guys, can you guys introduce yourself to the audience for the people that might not know? We can start with Luke.
Hey guys, my name's Luke Radowski of wearechange.org. I'm pretty much a t-shirt vendor where I have amazing t-shirts like the one that I'm wearing right now that gets all the ladies' attention, especially here in Miami, that you can get on thebestpoliticalshirts.com. And I do a lot of different things. I'm doing a little meetup here in Miami. I just relocated here. I'm setting up a lot of different things. I want to build a little community. I'm doing that this Sunday, 4 p.m. At a meetup for members of lukeunfiltered.com. Hope to see you there.
Smart man.
Cool.
Yep.
I'm Tim Poole. I'm the host of Timcast IRL. We run Timcast.com. We got a bunch of different projects in the works. We got Cast Brew Coffee. We're going to be working on a new skate show. So that's what we do.
I'm the co-host of Timcast IRL. Ian Crossland, also actor, musician. Therefore, let's roll.
Damn.
Now, normally,
Easy enough.
in this band of misfits, how'd you guys meet?
Luke and I met at
Wall Street, pretty
Yeah,
much?
Luke and I met at Occupy Wall Street.
Okay.
I was there, but I didn't meet him there, oddly enough.
He was on the other team. We hated him, actually. We were like, look at that guy with his crazy hair.
We founded, I was the liberal leftist. We founded Minds, Bill Altman and I, Minds.com, and then we were sponsoring Tim's videos in like 2017 or 18, and then we ended up meeting him at a dinner, and we got to talking, played music together. We're like, we should do a show.
Can you guys tell us a little bit about, and we can go one by one, we can start here with Ian. Can you tell us a little bit, like your background growing up, where you're from originally?
Northeast Ohio. Yeah, Cuyahoga Falls. I got into acting at about age 15 and then went to theater school, moved out to New York, did Chicago for a while, LA. Got kind of burned out on the scene. It was right around when YouTube was starting, 2006, and I got into YouTube videos, and then I never looked back.
Bam. So you've been on YouTube since 06?
Yeah.
Whoa, man.
June.
You look like a white Jesus.
Thanks, sir.
He is white Jesus.
He actually, if you watch the music video for No Rain by Blind Melon, every guy in that video looks like Ian, or Ian looks like every guy in that video. No, seriously though, they even act like him. Watch that video. I'm like, Ian must have modeled his whole life off these guys.
Yeah, like wash your hair
Does that
every
work in your
3 days.
favor?
So far, it's been working out for me. Yeah, I kind of like it.
Whatever works.
Yeah, traveling's hard because if the backpack gets caught on your hair, that's a bit of a pain. But you know, hair ties and stuff.
There we go.
What about you, Tim? A little bit about your background, where you're originally from, education, all that stuff.
Southside of Chicago, high school dropout.
Bam. All right. So they never went back to get the GED, so fuck it.
Yeah, fuck no. I actually made it a personal point to not get a GED and told my family if I ever need a high school diploma to succeed, then I've failed as a human being.
Damn.
There you go.
That is so
no, I
true.
like it.
Yeah,
I
I took personal offense at the idea of the high school diploma when I was 14. Because everybody, what are the rules on swearing on your guys' show?
We're on
YouTube. We're on YouTube.
We're on Fresh and Fit,
Unleash
baby.
it,
Go
bro.
ahead. Go ahead.
Unleash it.
Well, we are on
Unleash it.
YouTube.
Yeah, there's so many people who are fucking idiots who act like they're big because they have degrees or whatever. And I'm like, this fucking moron over here thinks he's so big he's got a degree. What a stupid waste of time. I knew people who had degrees. I had a friend who worked in music business, was working towards a degree for 3 years, never once managed a show. And I was like, I don't understand. I know like some 16-year-old kid who's put on more shows than you, and you spent 3 years in college. It's a fucking waste of time.
4 years down the drain.
We had Ty Lopez, and we actually talked about college extensively. And what we basically, I'd love to get your guys' take on this. I think unless you're going to pursue like being a doctor or a lawyer or some kind of job that requires a degree, it's really a waste of time most of the time.
You know, I went to school for theater, college for theater, and it was somewhat expensive. It was 20 grand or so, but the amount of practice I got at theater that I wouldn't have got in the professional realm because I was paying for it. They let me on stage. I did like 7, 8, 9 shows. I was able to become a way better actor, and the community was very supportive. So liberal arts, although it didn't in any way guarantee any money coming out, it helped me become a better actor.
I think that network of people would help as well. That community.
Yeah.
So that's really good as well.
But I also knew a lot of people that were in the theater department that did not thrive in that environment. So if you're good, maybe it's the right move.
Top 1% of your class, yeah. What about you, Luke?
I was born in Poland, in literal communistic country in the 80s. I grew up there half of my life, and then the other half I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, in New York City in the 90s, which was
when Giuliani was there.
Giuliani was there. There was a lot of crime. It was still cool.
Yeah.
There was no frickin' hipsters. There was no blue armpit-haired yuppies anywhere. It was a totally different New York than what we have now. I grew up in a situation where it took me growing up through 9/11, going through other events, seeing a lot of the people that I knew affected by it, being beat up by the police after the police state was put in after 9/11. That really kind of woke me up to a book called Behold a Pale Horse by William Cooper. I read that book, and it kind of changed my mind to the possibilities of what's really out there. Ever since then, I learned about Alex Jones, and I remember torrenting his videos back in the day where you still needed to wait 2 freaking days just to download a video. And after doing that, I started to get active. I started to get involved. I've known Alex Jones for about 18 years now. We worked on and off throughout the years, but I'm fiercely independent. I do a lot of my own stuff. I wish I could say I never went to college. It was an utter waste of time. It was stupid. It was ridiculous. And I was always fiercely independent, never worked for anybody else, and always kept doing my videos.
What was the name of that book?
Behold the Pale Horse by William Cooper.
But Luke's big break, a lot of people don't know this, was actually only in the past few years when after the lockdowns, Luke began selling sperm for $7,000 a load.
Listen, it's a lucrative business, okay? It's going really well. I'll say that.
Wait, is it your sperm?
He's selling other dudes sperm.
No, I gotta keep playing. I'm not fucking buying that shit. I'm selling it. It's a good business. I make house calls.
So for you, the turning point was Behold the Pale Horse, because you guys have pretty, base takes on things.
Well, growing up in New York City, I was there, on 9/11. The dust literally came into my neighborhood. That was a huge shock factor because I knew so many people that were affected by it. And then a lot of people didn't pick this up because right before 9/11, all the newspapers in New York City were talking about how those Twin Towers were filled with asbestos.
Yes.
No one brought that up, and they were talking about how it would cost more to demolish it than to actually renovate and get rid of the asbestos in there. Everyone knew those buildings were filled with horrible hazardous chemicals.
Yep.
The buildings come down, the dust goes everywhere, including into my neighborhood. You could literally write your name in it like it was snow.
Wow.
The government comes out, air safe to breathe, don't worry about it, totally fine. What really happened was the EPA knew it wasn't. They did studies. They gave it to Condoleezza Rice. They gave it to George W. Bush, and they were like, yeah, let's just change this from saying it's not safe to saying it is safe. They did that, and a whole bunch of people I know personally got sick, died, and got screwed over because the government was just lying to them. And that was the kind of big wake-up call, like, hey, if they're not telling the truth about this, and then you're dealing with the repercussions of just the police state, and then you get the crap kicked out of you by police officers for no reason one day, it kind of does set a very, very chilling effect on you, especially when I was just a young teenager going through all of this. That really made me who I am today, dealing with all that trauma, seeing all that heartache, seeing all that pain and suffering, and saying, you know what, I'm going to dedicate my life towards making sure it never happens again. And that's why I'm in alternative media. And that's why I went after all these huge scumbags. I went after Bloomberg and the 9/11 commissioners and anyone involved in 9/11, Henry Kissinger, all of them. I went after them. And I confronted them one-on-one, asked them really hard questions, and really stood behind family members, rescue workers who were affected by 9/11.
I saw you grow into the Rothschilds.
Yeah. No. It's important. It's important to bring questions up to a lot of these individuals, but more importantly, show the people out there what's really happening behind this kind of veil, behind this larger kind of.
9/11 is its own animal. We did like a multi-part series. Shout out to Ryan Dawson, where we covered 9/11 extensively with the individuals that were involved. We talked about very interesting Larry Silverstein taking a certain policy out right before 9/11 happened in July of that year. Tim, what about for you? What woke you up and said, wow, like this is the government lies a lot. Like this is some fucking bullshit.
Honestly, I think there are a couple things when I was a kid. Schools were lying to us. The story I often tell about my mom is, I come home and she says, what did you learn in school? And it's something like, in 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue and he discovered America, right? And my mom responds with, well, there were already people here. So he couldn't have discovered it, right?
Yeah.
He discovered for the Europeans. I was like, oh. And then she's like, and Leif Erikson got here 1,000 years before. That's the kind of mom that I had. And so then I was like, but they told us that Christopher Columbus discovered America. And she's like, well, when you're older, they'll start telling you the truth. And that was like, I'm like 5 years old. And I was like, everything they say is a lie. And so.
Damn, you knew that young.
I mean, it's not like that was one thing. It was, I remember they showed us a cartoon where it showed a camel, and then it made like a silhouette of the camel and showed water bouncing around in the camel's humps. And then I come home and I'm like, camels have water in their humps. My mom's like, no, they have fat in their humps and there's a lot of water retained by it. And I was like, So are they lying to me again? But you know, when I was in 8th grade, like this all of this shit. It's not even about the government lying. It's about disdain for authority and a rejection of their incompetence. When I'm in 8th grade, I remember my teacher said, you know, it was like, what's 30 minus 50? And I'm just sitting there doodling, and then she thinks she's gonna catch me. She's like, Mr. Poole, and I look up and I'm like -20, and I go back to doodling. And she's going, how did you get that answer? And I was like, what do you mean? How did I get that? It's like 30 minus 50, -20. I just know. And then she demanded that I do some cockamamie bullshit ass formula to prove the method of finding a negative. I'm like, it's 1,
You
2,
should have
3,
told her
4.
you're part Asian. It's automatic.
I was like, yeah, I'm Korean, lady. But I got detention for it. And I'm like, I got detention for being smarter and not doing tedious bullshit. And so, you know, I would say most of the teachers that I had, except for like one, I had one teacher that was pretty good. Most of the teachers that I had were just, they're assholes, they're mean, they teach you like shit, they teach you nothing.
Right.
And I was like, you know, I learned more from the internet. I have the internet at home. I had the internet since I was a kid. And I was like, I can go on there and find the answers to all these questions they're lying about. I think having the internet at a young age, teacher says bullshit, I go online, I look, I say, oh, they lied. And so I just, my whole life, I'm like, these people are just lying about everything.
Yeah. What about you, Ian? What woke you up and made you realize, like, yo, there's a bunch of...
I was born in '79, so I'm a little older. I didn't have the internet, so I didn't get the luxury of knowing ahead of time how fucked up shit was.
Man. Pause.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
And so I worked at Ground Zero. I actually worked down there right next to the pile in the American Express building. I know the smell that Luke's talking about with all that dust. It smelled like graham crackers, man, and it probably was all sorts of, who knows. But anyway, a couple of years
it was
went
human
by.
body. There's still half of the people weren't found that were in the Twin Towers
because they
were
melted.
eviscerated.
I was told that,
and there was no human remains found for half of the people.
They
there.
would find white Twizzlery substance that would be bone. That would be what would left. And they know they'd find a fireman if they found the fireman jacket because it was heat resistant. But they'd just find the white Twizzlery substance inside. That's all that was left from the extreme heat. And he's like, you know, they think they're going to find bodies. The bodies are draining down underneath our feet into the East River right now.
It was molten lava. Like with
molten
the
steel.
Extreme amount of heat, like it was insane.
Yeah, so that got me. That just being there and seeing that was there. It was started making internet videos. When I remember when we went into Afghanistan, and then all of a sudden Rumsfeld one day said, "And when we go into Iraq," and I was talking to my dad. He's like, "When we go into Iraq, what does that have to do?" And that got me thinking. And then when I started making videos in 06, I saw Zeitgeist. I started to see these movies, stuff that Luke produced or was involved with actually. And it was really the audience on YouTube that was like, do you know what fiat currency is? Do you know what International Monetary Fund is? And I didn't. So I started looking into fiat currency, and that was like the tipping point. When I thought
You know, it's kind of crazy because I'm just now starting to see people posting on YouTube about the Iraqi war and how it was a lie. But like, you go back to 2003 because I'm old enough to remember it, and I'm sure you guys all are too. Like, it was like the galvanizing thing for the United States. Like, we're going to go to war. We're going to go hard on terrorism, etc. Everyone's backing it, etc. And then we found out, like, wait, why did we go to war with Iraq?
They were responsible for 9/11. They had weapons of mass destruction. We have to fight them over there before they come over here. All that shit was fucking bullshit. And what's happening right now in Israel is a direct response to the Iraq war, since, of course, it also allowed Iran to have such a sphere of influence in the region, created a vacuum of power, created radical Islamists in the region as well. You look at the Iraq war, it wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for 9/11.
Yeah.
So this is the key moment. They wrote about it in the Project for a New American Century. They bragged about it. They carried out their program. They knew exactly what they were doing, and they had a list of countries that they were invading, and they were just looking for the justification to do so. There was General Wesley Clark that came out, literally spoke on Democracy Now! About a Pentagon plan that was told to him about how they were going to invade 7 countries in 5 years. Those countries, we are at war in one way, shape, form, or another, whether economically or an actual hot war or a proxy war with those countries. That plan was executed in most of its way, but they knew beforehand, we're going to start these wars. We're going to kill these people. We're going to have this conflict here, and they carried out those programs. Iraq was the first one, and we got to remember there was a huge wave of protesters trying to stop that war. There was, I think, 500,000 people that went to Washington D.C. I was one of those people. There was government whistleblowers coming out and saying, "Hey, those WMDs, they don't have any. This is all a lie. This is all bullcrap. I think it was Scott Ritter, a UN weapons inspector, that came out and said specifically, like, hey, I warned you guys. I told you guys there was nothing there. And then the New York Times came out and said, no, they definitely do have the weapons of mass destruction, lied to the American people, and created one of the worst. So people say, I got to catch myself too, because I got to be careful how I understand all this. Some people say it's the worst foreign policy decision for America. The worst foreign policy decision for the American people. But for the people in charge, for the neoconservatives, for the individuals that were the shot callers, this was a great decision that enriched them and empowered them and created more chaos that we're still dealing with today because of their bullshit.
Yeah, and we're going to go into way more detail once we go on Rumble there. And I appreciate you, Luke, dancing around it, but like we're gonna go into it way more detail. And we did bring Scott Ritter on as well, and he talked about it. He was actually going over there to Iraq and inspecting the weapons, and he knew for a fact they didn't have any. And we'll go into more detail definitely once we go to Rumble. You have something?
It's almost like there's an agenda being played here to create war and chaos, and it leads to something.
Yes.
But,
We'll
leave it at that.
It's almost exactly like that. Yeah.
So
it's almost like they're trying to build something like a new world order or something like that. It's like they're trying to,
So real quick, I gotta ask this, and this is just because I want, we've been over, over to your guys' studio plenty of times, right? And I've always admired how you guys run a very tight ship. You guys are live every day, 8 p.m., going hard in the paint. What's it like running one of the biggest live streaming podcasts that runs alternative media in the United States?
It's hell. Waking nightmare. I think it's the combination of all the work that I do. So I used to just do the monologue videos. I wake up at 7 a.m. I record my morning segments, and then that constant full morning of work, I'm just reading nonstop from 7:30 until 3 p.m. all the news that's coming through the day. After that, I just eat, exercise or something, and then get back to prep for the nightly show, Timcast IRL. But so most of the stuff that I know is just based off the work I do earlier in the day.
Right.
So I think what makes Timcast IRL work better is I'm spending all my day doing research in this other show, so it's work nonstop all day, every day, even on weekends. Sometimes on the weekend, the past year or so, I've been taking weekends a little bit more to do things because it's almost like, what's the point of all of this unless you're gonna,
But for many years, you didn't. For many years, it was like nonstop grind. And I know a lot of people in the industry. I'll be honest. I know almost everyone in this entire alternative independent media industry. I haven't seen anyone work harder than Tim. I'll be honest. Always grinding, always working, always studying, always researching, always just on it. And that's why I have a tremendous amount of respect for him, because when I'm around him, I'm like, why am I fucking up? Why am I taking a break? Why am I relaxing? I got to work. I got to set this up. I got to be on top of my schedule. And he is, again, one of the hardest working men in the entire industry.
So for 4 years, no days off, no vacations, never, no matter what.
Yeah.
And so what it started with, I'd record for about 2 hours, which is, it's like 8 to 10 hours a day of reading, but I'm always on Twitter. I'm always researching. I have people sending me stuff. My friends are messaging me stories. And so it's like my whole life I'm living plugged into the machine or whatever, like learning what's going on. But for the first 3 years or 2.5 or so, it's wake up at 6 a.m., exercise, 7 until 3, recording something. And then the rest of the day would be just like business stuff, paperwork. But I never took a day off, not even Saturday or Sunday. So it's Sunday to Sunday, every day. Then when we launched Timcast IRL, it was the same schedule plus the nightly show with no days off. So it was Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 11 p.m., and then Saturday and Sunday, 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. And then I think starting in, might have been 2021 after the election, I finally said, okay, I'm going to take weekends off. And then now Saturday and Sunday. And it was partly because I had no time to go to the bank. I had no time to go, we have to buy a car or do something. Or
you couldn't do admin stuff that you need to do, for your life to function.
We also transferred into taking people can subscribe to timcast.com, so you no longer have to get ad revenue. You don't have to be cracking the whip every moment to get that buck because it's coming in monthly. Gives you a little bit more breathing room.
So, ad revenue for us was fucking bonkers.
It's a hustle, bro.
But it was absolutely insane. I think the biggest mistake we made was not launching the membership thing immediately. And I think the reason was just on my own, doing my morning show was an insane amount of money. And I was like, who cares? And then later, as I'm like developing the business and looking for alternate revenue streams and trying to expand, like we've got Cast Brew Coffee now and things like that.
Yeah.
I was like, oh wow, we definitely. The big fear came when YouTube was banning people and demonetizing people, and I was like, I got one big egg that can break. That's a bad idea. So now we've diversified, and it's made it a lot easier to run everything. So
yeah, they got me during that purge.
Yeah,
but I had my members area
was this in 2020 once the scamdemic was going on?
No, it was before the election. The 2016 election.
Oh, okay.
And again, that's why it made me start my members area, which is definitely the smartest way to go, in my opinion, because then you're not relying on advertisers, and you have a base group of people supporting you every single month, which is key.
Yeah.
So you guys make it look very easy, right? Obviously speaking, it's a lot of work. You said 6 a.m. is crazy hours to wake up, and then all night. Yeah. But how do you de-stress? How do you kind of like let loose? Because obviously speaking, you have family, you have people around you. How do you like get away and like de-stress?
The thing that reduces the stress the most for me is turning the camera on and live streaming to 50,000 people live and complaining about all the things that are bothering me.
Wow.
So,
okay.
So it's kind of like
working helps you de-stress from work. Yeah.
Well, I mean, so this is it. Luke's like, Tim works all the time, and I'm like, dude, these are therapy sessions, man. I turn the camera on and whinge. I complain on the internet for money. And it's like, you're working really hard, bro. I'm bitching. I'm like, I'm reading the news and getting angry about all of these things. Yeah. And then I talk about them, and that kind of like relieves the stress.
But don't forget,
and a lot of
Baldur's
people
Gate.
agree with you.
But we skate, and so I think about it like this: what is the purpose of doing anything? How do you define fun? What is fun? Why do humans have fun? What does that mean to me? Why do kids play? Why do wolves play? My attitude on life is basically like, I like skateboarding, but that's work. I'm getting good at skateboarding for what reason? Well, let's make it productive. If I have fun skateboarding, let's make a skateboarding show and turn it into something that's valuable for everybody else. Yeah. So, my view is I don't understand this when people are like, do you take vacation? Do you want to go do stuff? I'm like, what do you mean? Like, this is life. This is what you should be doing. I don't have a desire to go sit on the beach and just lay in the sand. That would stress me out. If I skip work for any reason, like I had to get a root canal a few years ago, I'm stressed.
Yeah.
It feels like my heart's being squeezed because I'm not doing something productive.
Yeah.
So it's like an inversion for me.
I know exactly, bro.
You
I'm
have
the
a similar
same exact way.
setup to Myron. I have to tell him, bro, take a break. He doesn't want to take a break, and it's been what 3 years now.
Yeah. I mean, because that's why I kind of wanted to make sure that we talk about that because we've been up there like three, 4 times now, and you're always a gracious host, and I'm always like really impressed. Walk in, it's like you guys are super professional. Have your setup there, have topics ready to go. You got the YouTube plaques everywhere. Super successful. I also noticed this. We went to Crowder earlier this week. He also has a fantastic setup, and there's not many people that live stream podcasts, man. So I want to make sure that people understand like how hard you guys work behind the scenes and give you guys your flowers on air.
Oh, especially we did this live event the other day.
Yes, tell us about that yesterday. The one in
it's that's the most stressful thing imaginable, right? Because we have to move the show down here temporarily in order. So we have to do Monday through Thursday, Timcast IRL live. We have to make a studio, and then we have to go to this venue. There's security issues. There's a lot going on. Stuff that I don't even know about when like we had some security issue or something. It was like a false alarm, but everything was fine. The event went off without a hitch. But it takes like a year of planning. There's endless paperwork.
Yeah.
It's like, I think most people, I was talking to Joe Rogan and he asked me, I think it was like a year or a half ago, he's like, how much do you record per day? And I was like, I think 3.5, 4 hours. And he goes, oh, so you're working half days. And I was like, yeah. And then there's 12 hours of research and study. And he's like, oh, right. I think for a lot of people who even do podcasts, depending on what kind of show you're doing, if you're doing something where it's like celebrity stuff, just like really basic cultural stuff that we're all paying attention to or tuned into, you don't have to pull up an article from 1980 where like you get a quote from Henry Kissinger to make sure that the story's correct and have to recall that stuff. So it's a constant research and fact checking too. Plus, these people are lying to us in the media all day, every day about basically everything. So no matter what article I read, I've got to pull up 4 different versions of it to figure out where the bullshit is.
Get the middle, and I think that's like led to the huge rise of alternative media, right? Which is where you guys come in. Because if I want to watch the news or whatever, man, I'll tune into you guys versus like going to Fox or whatever. If I do watch Fox, then I'll kind of do the same thing. I'll watch multiple sources and be like, okay, the truth is somewhere here in the middle between all these different platforms. But let me ask you this, man. You guys had Kanye West on. It's been almost a year now, right? At this point.
Yeah.
Almost exactly.
Yeah. So, and it was, during the whole situation that he had going on with certain talking about certain topics. And you guys brought
What,
him
what
in.
topics are those?
Yeah,
what are we discussing?
You can find out on Rumble.
Yeah, there you go.
What was that like having him on? You know, him walking out. He brought Milo and Nick. What was that whole experience?
It was-
like?
It was planned.
Yeah.
Why did he walk out?
Yeah.
It was planned.
Give us the full story behind the scenes.
Let's give them the full story
Yeah, go ahead.
before what you guys think. I mean,
Go ahead.
when they came in, I of course greeted them with saying shalom, and they were very happy to get this greeting. But before everything kind of transpired, everything was very cordial. Everything was very relaxed. We were talking about health food. I'm big into health food. I'm big into eating clean. We were having a full conversation about that. We were just kind of like vibing, hanging out, and everything was very, very cool, very relaxed, very laid back. But you know, as soon as the cameras turned on, it seemed like there was a definite an energy shift, and things changed in a very weird way, which I didn't really
What
understand
was he like
myself.
before the cameras came on?
Smart, articulate, calm, reasonable, asking, he was inquisitive, and then the camera turned on, and it was like he just faked it.
That's when I left the room. He was cool until I left, and then he got nervous.
Nah, we're hanging out with him, and he's talking like this. So what do you think about Mike Pence, right? I'm trying to figure out how I win this presidency. What do you think, Tim? Can you tell me how do I win the presidency? And I was like, well, I don't have the answers to that. And then we talk a little bit, and he goes, I asked you a question, Tim. You didn't answer me. How do I win the presidency? That's what I'm here to know. And I was like, all right, you want my honest answer? It's not about convincing people to vote for you. It's about ballot harvesting. He goes, ballot harvesting. He's like, well, explain that to me. And I was like, Democrats didn't win because they convince people they're right. They just get people to fill out a vote and then have more votes. And he's like, no shit. So we're sitting down. So this is like we're walking up the stairs, we're talking. We're sitting down. Calm, reasonable, rational, dude's a genius. Like, I think he's putting on performance because he looks up, we have the big screen and we have a news article and he's like, yeah, Milo, what's up with this? Mike Pence, he's like a traitor to Trump or something like that. And then Milo explains and he's like, interesting. And then when he writes down ballot harvesting, he goes, I got what I need. He says to me.
Oh, he wrote it down when he said
He wrote it down. And he's like, I don't need to be here. And I said, I know. You can't get more famous than Kanye West. I was like, you know, you don't need to be here at all. We're glad you are. And he goes, right, but these guys tell me I should. Camera turns on, and he goes from before we're live, he asks me about the media, who controls the media, things like this, obviously. Yeah. And we'll save a lot for Rumble, I suppose. And and I said, oh come on, I mean, like there's powerful people like Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and then he makes his comments very calmly, and he's like, well, but I think blah blah blah. Camera turns on, and then he goes, yo, I'm telling you, man, like the thing we got with this show. And I was like, wait, what the heck just happened?
It was like Dr. Jekyll, Dr. Hyde. And it wasn't just a ballot harvesting idea. We had an idea saying, hey, if you do concerts and if you want to get into your concert, you have to register to vote. That would be a great way to get the voter turnout for your concert. So,
they do this. They do this, though. This is a huge thing that Democrats do. They have concerts and they sponsor these events in some way where I worked for a nonprofit out of Chicago. They sent me to a Death Cab for Cutie concert at the time, my favorite band, and they just said, you get all access backstage, and you got to get these people to fill out these registration forms. And I was like, done. Yeah. I'm at a concert in Chicago with 5,000 people or whatever, getting people to vote. That's what they do. Yeah. The other thing I'll add is, dude had a PJ waiting for him at the municipal airport, 15 minutes away, which is not something you can just book. Well, look.
It's not a major airport either.
It's not a major airport. Yeah. It's a very small municipal airport.
You guys are in the middle of
Yeah.
nowhere.
And this is it's Frederick Municipal.
Yeah.
There were paparazzi waiting. Paparazzi was waiting at Frederick Municipal. This airport has no security. It's a 4-foot tall chain link fence. That's how small it is. Wow. You walk up and you open the gate. You lift the little thing up and open it. You're on the runway. Wow. So they got a jet booked for this place. If you want to give them the benefit of the doubt, Kanye West is very, very rich. Yeah. And here's what would have had to have happened most likely for him to pull this off. He got offended at the questions being asked, storms off the show completely legitimately, calls his buddy who knows someone who has a jet on the tarmac at Mercer in New Jersey, which is where his jet came from because we checked, and convinces them, hey, don't take your flight, which was perfectly fueled up to fly from Mercer to Maryland to Los Angeles. Give it to me instead. That's plausible, but I think it's very unlikely.
Highly unlikely, bro.
So here's how it works. People need to understand. When you're booking like a legit big private jet, Gulfstream or something, it has to be fueled. And often they can't make the trips. You need a big jet. If you're going to go from East Coast to West Coast, these smaller jets can't handle it. So if your turboprop's not going to handle it, you're going to need, maybe like a Gulfstream or something. Not necessarily that crazy. But it came from New Jersey Mercer. I've dealt with this before. If you when you're trying to book a private charter, as soon as the agency calls the ground crew, they have to wait 8 hours to because there's a rest period or something like this. It's like a safety thing. So they call the person and say, hey, you're going to be flying out. Okay, I'll see you in 8 hours. I had this issue once where I'm trying to fly back, and the pilot said, I'm over hours. I can't fly anymore, so your jet can't leave without a new pilot. And all the charter companies said, you can't. It's impossible. Because as soon as we call any pilot, he has to wait 8 hours before he can fly your plane. You're screwed. Have a nice day. So 2 things. A jet came from New Jersey Mercer, landed at Frederick Municipal, fueled up and ready for a trip to Los Angeles with the crew capable of flying and paparazzi waiting at the airport. I think the dude's a genius. I think he strategized this well beyond anything having to do with us. Yeah. And everybody says, well, what's the point? I'm like, bro, he got the front page of every newspaper by doing this.
Talking about it.
No one's better at PR and winning and controlling the narrative than he did. Now the Adidas guy came out and said he's not an anti-Semite, he's cool. Like, I'm like, the dude owns the media, man. I don't know what his game is. Maybe he's bored, but he played the entire narrative, us, everybody, like a fiddle.
Wow. I'll tell you this, because I was watching that and I noticed, knowing you personally, etc., and I saw how surprised you were when he was like acting that way. And I was like, something's off here. I need to ask him about this. And I didn't get a chance to ask you last time I saw you. And I was like, but it makes sense now. Like, he comes in, he's a certain way, very, articulate, etc., and then he just goes crazy, and you're like, what the fuck is going on here? And hey, he's a master marketer.
And we got shit for it, and then everyone's criticizing us, and I'm like, wait, what? We just literally conducted an interview here. I even brought up the personal trainer that was connected to the Canadian military intelligence that works in PSYOPs in order to have a real conversation with him about that, which is critically important, because what that guy was involved in was some really crazy mind control kind of experiments. We should have got into CIA, MK Ultra. We should have got into some of the larger issues, the conspiracy issues, the bigger, deep down issues that would have helped a lot of people, that would have had a very interesting conversation, a debate. And sadly, we never had that, which I think sucks.
I kind of got a little bit of a different take, because if you watch the moments of him getting up and leaving, it's basically he says something and then Tim interrupts him while he's talking, and then Tim says something.
You're wrong. He interrupted me.
Oh, okay. Well,
he asks me a question, and before I finish, he gets up and leaves.
Okay, so there's an interruption, and then Nick says, but isn't it though? And then Tim interrupts Nick, and that was when Kanye just got up and left.
But interrupt. So the question was about, Ye asks me, who is they though? And I'm like, the corporate Democrats and the corporate press. And then Nick says, but is it really? And I said, yes. And then Ye interrupts me, gets up and leaves.
The reason I think it is because what I get from Ye is that he's just sensitive to tone. He's really into like feeling and emotion, and it was getting very heightened, and a lot of overlapping and interrupting was happening right before he left. So he might have just got agitated and whatever and just walked out.
How long were you guys talking with him prior?
It's like an hour and a half.
Talking about 10 minutes.
Everything said on that show had been said already.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the article in question about Mike Pence had been up for half an hour, and we already talked about it. He was calm and rational and addressed all these things like normal. That's why I was surprised when he said these things to me again. And bro, he told me outright he got what he needed from being there, and he didn't need to be there anymore.
So knowing Kanye
with a jet waiting for
West's
him.
people and his antics behind the scenes, he's very calculated. He knows what he's doing from the very beginning. He looks crazy on camera, but off camera, he's well calculated. So
Genius.
just from what you said, I guarantee you planned that from way before.
Bro, I got no beef.
Yeah.
The end result of this was I get hit up by the left and the right were praising me.
Yeah.
I had left-wing organizations that hate me saying they wanted Ye to be the enemy. So they said Tim Pool pushed back on Ye. And all of a sudden these people who hate my guts are acting like I did something right.
Right.
I'm like, I don't know if it was his plan. You can say that the whole thing was one big accident, but it ended up being beneficial for us and for him and for everybody involved getting what they wanted.
Yeah.
I don't know what Ye wanted out of it. Maybe he wanted PR. He got the front page of every newspaper, every magazine.
It's everywhere.
And it's
How many live were watching that when you had him on?
I think it was 200K.
200K.
Yeah.
On YouTube.
Yeah.
Wow. That's great.
That's
I think it's been a while. I think it might have
I
been.
don't remember those exact numbers, but they were.
I think it was
they
like
were
190 something maybe.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah, he's a smart guy, man. Very smart guy.
Speaking of
people see these public personas, especially of Ye, and it's funny to me when people are like, "Oh, Donald Trump's a moron. He's so stupid," or Kanye West is crazy, and I'm like, "Dude, you don't become a billionaire being crazy."
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure that Ye to a degree and to a certain degree and to another. He's putting on a character.
Yeah.
But behind the scenes, dude's doing math.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can't assume that this guy's just accidentally becoming a billionaire.
Yeah.
If you want awareness, you want to be seen in the social media world, you want to be known, you have to be somewhat ostentatious. You have to be out there. You have to be kind of like almost crazy to the public because it's a, wait, why is it like this? I need to find out more about this guy. It's just marketing. Honestly.
Speaking of which, speaking of guests coming in and doing things, you had, I forget her name, some chick from like the Young Turks or whatever, try to come in and make
Emma Vigeland.
Yeah, can you guys talk about that? Because she tried to make some ridiculous accusation, and when I saw it, I was like, oh my, this is what they fucking
Majority
do.
Report. Emma Vigeland.
Yeah, what did she try to say?
These guys are like how would you? I describe them like the WWE of politics. I mean, hey, respect, man. You know, Sam's got a million followers. He's probably making massive amounts of cash.
Yeah.
But their whole bit is intentionally misrepresenting, riling you up, and then taking clips out of context.
Yep.
So, for
That's
instance,
what all
like
those guys on the left do, man.
and not all of them, but you know, there are some guys I disagree with. Some people I think maybe getting things wrong and maybe push the boundaries a little bit and being unfair. But they are the kings of fake drama in politics for profit while masquerading as smart. And, you know, it is what it is. Good for them. They make a lot of money doing it. I ain't going to fault someone for their hustle. I just don't want to associate with them. But so, you know, Sam has been begging to come on the show. And
So she was asking you guys.
Well, no.
Emma.
Emma.
Okay.
When I found out Emma wanted to come, I said absolutely, because we'll bring on anybody.
I kind of put it together. I saw her on Majority Report just saying she wanted to do more debates, so I sent it to our team and it was like she might be a good guest. I think they work.
But Sam, on the other hand,
She works for Sam, right? Cedar.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sam is
He's a hater too. Yeah. But
He's intentionally disingenuous. He says things to piss you off, to get a clip, and then he takes the clip out of context to insult you with it. So it's just like, look, man, I'm not gonna go on Jake Paul's show because, like, I'd interview him, I guess, but I'm not gonna go on a pro golf channel and talk about golf. I'm not gonna go on a political drama channel to talk drama with these guys. When Emma wanted to come on, I said, okay, let's roll. But sure enough, she plays the exact same game he does. We're having a real conversation, and halfway through, she accuses us of like being Nazis or whatever. Yeah. And then I'm just like, here we go.
Because some dude had a portion of the
screen
show,
grab.
a screen grab of your show when a certain guest was on, right? If I'm not mistaken.
So the shooter in Texas had 4 screen grabs of one guest and was quoting one guest.
Yeah.
For some political reason. She then tries claiming we inspire terrorist, white supremacist shooters and things like that. And I'm just like, see, this is what I'm talking about. You guys, if you want to come in and take a folding chair and talk about the smackdowns coming and banging on the ground, sure, that ain't us. We don't do that. Yeah. So that's it. The other thing too that's crazy about them is that they overtly defend pedophilic content. I'll try to be careful with the language. Sorry, guys.
Of course.
But I have on Brianna Wu, notorious for the culture war. The other side of Gamergate, things like that. I show these books that have adult content in them they're giving to kids, and I'm like, hey, look at these things, man. Yeah. And a handful of these lefties will be like, I won't defend that. I won't defend that. That's wrong.
Some of them are sane.
But it's because they know they can't win that argument. Emma Vigeland comes on and says, I oppose censorship. The books are good. And I'm like, you see, now I know you're full of it.
Yeah.
Because you go to any school, you go to anyone regardless of their politics, and you open that book, what happens? People freak out. That's why when these parents are going to these PTA meetings and these public meetings and reading from the books, they get kicked out because there's no human in this country who legitimately thinks it's good when you're reading the stuff about, like, it's basically, adult material.
Yeah, for children.
But the Majority Report loves that stuff. They want kids to have access to that kind of content, and they actively defend it. And so I'm just like, the only reason they're doing that is because they're playing the foil. They're the, or what is it called? The heel, right?
They're playing the heel like in wrestling, WWE.
Boom.
Yeah, they're the Triple H's of YouTube.
That's all they're doing. They're like, look at us.
The corporate media does that as well, as they're trying to excuse a lot of this very kind of. We got to be safe here because we're on YouTube. Here,
Appreciate that, guys. Yeah,
this very kind of predatory behavior. As there was even mainline corporate media articles talking about how these individuals are minor attracted people, which is just absolutely crazy. It's absolutely insane to see we're at such a level where we have individuals like like Jeffrey Epstein, who used the government, who used the FBI, who used tax dollars to essentially traffic thousands of children, all with the help of the corporate media, of the ruling establishment, and was able to get away with it for 30 plus years. So this is not something that's not uncommon. It is more common than you think, and it is more sick and twisted than we could even imagine it to be.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a clown world. Sorry, do you have something?
I just find it sick that they're targeting our kids as a way to, like, you know,
Yeah.
penetrate and brainwash people. But once again, man, kids need to be protected. So
But
Yeah,
that's the worst, when these people are making money off of a political grift and defending that because there's an establishment machine. You know, it's kind of funny. It's like they're on the side of Epstein, I guess. Like that whole machine that was covering up for Epstein for as long as he was doing what he was doing.
Yep.
And now Ghislaine Maxwell's in jail. Now they're still withholding evidence. And a component of what that faction of people is doing is getting these books into schools and lying about it. And then you get these people on the left who are like, yeah, we're going to defend that because that's what's popular or something.
Yeah.
Well, it's an agenda to rob people, and especially children, of their innocence. And when you look at this, it's not something that's just, oh, it just happens here accidentally. No. This is not an accident. It's in the algorithms. It's in the corporate media. The VH1 was literally talking about how Epstein was a great entrepreneur. He was a great human being who invests in all these businesses. And I'm like, this sick son of a gun was already convicted. I was screaming about him. Alex Jones and other alternative media was screaming at this man. The corporate media was promoting him, allowing him to hurt more children, which he eventually did because of their support, which is mind-boggling.
Yeah, man, you got a slap on the wrist. I mean, the federal prosecutor here, the USA chose to not prosecute him. You know, only West Palm Beach did, and he was able to, like, kind of
That
come
was
and
then
go.
in Trump's administration, and then had to resign out of that entire saga because he literally allowed Jeffrey Epstein not for hurting small children, but for allegedly hiring small children. That's what they got him for. Again, we got to be super careful here. And then when he went to jail, he was able to leave jail whenever he wanted, and literally it was
it's
just
almost
mind-boggling.
like if right is almost becoming wrong, wrong is becoming right.
Yeah.
Wonder
Exactly.
why.
Let me ask you guys this. And Tim, we've talked about this, but I kind of want you to get your take on it for our audience. 2024, Trump's been indicted in 3 different states.
Yeah.
Right? We got the New York state case, we got the Georgia state case, we got the Florida federal case, and then the federal indictment out of Washington, D.C. So 4 different jurisdictions have indicted him. 2 federal ones, 2 state ones. One even being racketeering out of Georgia.
Facing 750 years in jail.
Along with Rudy Giuliani, etc., who actually helped pioneer the RICO statute, which is ironic, but that's a whole other conversation. What are your guys' general thoughts on the situation with Trump? How do you think this is going to affect the election in 2024? I'll just turn it to you guys open-ended.
As of right now, Trump's going to win.
Yeah.
But there's a lot that could change. So if you're looking at the polls,
What's his numbers right now? Yeah.
I think he's at like 53%.
Yeah.
I think it depends. Well, depending on the poll, a lot of if you look at like the 538 and RCP Real Clear Politics aggregates, Trump's probably up about 1 to 2 points, which is apocalyptic for Democrats because Democrats polls always skew in their favor. So especially if you look over the past.
What was the name of the poll?
So there's the 538 aggregate and the Real Clear Politics aggregate. They're basically taking all the polls.
Can we pull that up on the back, please?
And putting them together.
Yeah, we could get it real time.
So they're as of right now. I mean, it could change at any moment, but even the prediction markets have Trump as the favorite. A lot could change, but clearly these indictments have not stopped him. He's beating Biden.
They made
now.
him more popular.
And
It's helped him almost.
I think, you know, what's happening is they're helping him to an insane degree because regular people were pissed off about the culture war and how no one would shut up about it, and they blamed Trump. Then 2020 happens. Trump is no longer president. They will still not shut up. And I think a lot of regular people now realizing voting for Biden actually made the problem worse. And maybe the solution to get him to shut up is actually voting for Trump.
These indictments secured his second term, in my opinion.
You okay?
Because if you look at the situation, before these indictments, Trump was saying, hey, get boosted. His poll numbers were not that strong, not that good. But after these indictments, after these blatant, clear political partisan attacks against him and his entire life and his entire name and his entire properties, how can you not go and say, hey, we got to support this guy because he's under attack? And if it wasn't for these indictments, I don't think President Trump would be where he is right now in the numbers.
I wonder. I think so.
I think him getting indicted actually helped him secure the black vote as well. Like,
He became relatable.
Yeah, he became relatable. Like people.
That doesn't say much.
People say that like, oh, you know.
They're saying it's
guys-
racist. You can't say that.
Yeah, that's fine. I got waves now, so I can say it. I'm finally black. But no, like I think if anything, like a lot of people, like typically we know Democrat, black people typically vote. The black vote is typically Democrat. But that mugshot, him being arrested, etc. I saw a lot of people in the hip hop community. Chief Keef tweeted it like, "Yo, Donald Trump's a G."
Yo, he got arrested by Joe Biden.
Yeah, like
author of the crime bill in the 90s.
Yeah. So, what are your thoughts on it, Ian?
There's so much duplicity that happens behind the scenes on these situations. I just don't, and unless I can see the software code of the voting machines that we're using, I can't trust that they're giving us honest tallies. I don't know what's going to happen. For a while, I was thinking they're going to take them off the ballot in some state, wait till after the election, and then be like, oh, I guess, but I imagine that would cause riots. They don't want that. Maybe Alex Jones said that he thought he's going to go down in a plane crash, like oops kind of thing, like an assassination attempt. I don't know. I know that the idea of derailing this agenda to move us towards a global order of like a technocratic kind of central bank system is what Trump was doing. He really wanted to reestablish the old ways of the United States and bring manufacturing, and that scares like the Swiss bank. I mean, I don't know. This is where I don't want to start making assumptions about who's in charge or who's doing what. But Klaus Schwab's been very vocal about what he's doing with World Economic Forum, about kind of creating a new world where it's a corporate system instead of a governmental system.
Yes.
And I don't think Trump's into that. So I don't know. I don't trust like, hey, we have the paperwork, therefore we're in charge. That's not really the way reality works.
And then, out of Colorado, they're trying to, get him basically disqualified from the election, trying to say that he's an insurrectionist, which would fall under, I think there's Constitution. There's a law out there basically that if you're an insurrectionist, etc., you cannot run for, you cannot be a government official or officer is the exact
14th
term.
Amendment.
Yeah, through the 14th Amendment. Now, then it brings up the question, is being the president of the United States considered an officer in the United States?
Yes. Well, yeah, literally.
Yeah.
So the purpose of the 14th Amendment's provision on preventing insurrectionists from running was because after the Civil War, they were like, okay, none of you guys can be in office. But the funny thing is, it didn't really work out. And then I think it was 1876, a Civil War almost broke out again. And so the president was determined by committee. Mm-hmm. They didn't know whose votes they were going to count. Everybody was fighting, and they were like, guys, we're going to Civil War again. Can we just figure this out? Okay, fine. Here, you can be president.
Do you think that could disqualify him then?
Disqualify Trump?
Yeah.
Trump's not an insurrectionist.
Yeah.
So it's just like he's not been convicted of an insurrection. How do you convict him of insurrection? It's nonsense. That's why the media kept lying, saying it was the reason they said insurrection from the get-go is because they want to and smash it into your brain so they can try and pull some BS. Doesn't matter. We saw what happened to Kerry Lake in Arizona. Oh, whoops, the ballots got printed on the wrong paper. Now we can't count your votes. Oh, geez, gee golly. And then when they sue, they're basically just saying, screw off. You can't do anything about it.
Yeah. Right.
So you think come 2024, they're not going to play dirty games?
Yeah.
I think what's likely, entirely possible, is that at the last minute, some state takes Trump off the ballot, and you'll see Ron DeSantis or Vivek or whoever else, someone instead. And then when Trump's campaign files a lawsuit, they'll fight it. And they'll lose. And then the judge will be like, you got to get those ballots back. And they'll be like, yeah, bro, the election was 2 months ago.
Yeah.
So we'll fix it for next time.
I think Ian has a point, though, because on this level of like the world stage, letting Trump win would be actually against the agenda. And if he wins, then it's going against what's supposed to happen. So I think on some level, either they're going to take him out or, like you said, make his votes invalid.
Yeah, they're doing everything they can to keep him out. I mean, whether it's this 14th Amendment situation, indicting him in multiple jurisdictions, indicting him under the premise of insurrectionist. If you look at the indictments, they do put insurrection in the legal paperwork. They're doing everything they can.
All these indictments are bullshit. They're all trumped up charges. They're all made up. They're all arbitrary. We have presidents. We have politicians that literally used to duel outside of the Capitol. There's politicians that are still alive today that literally ditched their Secret Service and went to Jeffrey Epstein's island and were never held accountable for it. There's politicians like Barack Obama that literally personally signed off on the execution of a 16-year-old American citizen and murdered that kid from Colorado. they were never held accountable for any of those horrible crimes that they committed against people. But we're going after
Hillary
Trump.
challenged the election.
Yeah,
Hillary did.
Al Gore challenged the election,
yep.
very staunchly in 2000.
Yep.
They were never held accountable.
Yep.
But we're going after Trump because of paperwork, because of evaluation of his property. Are you kidding me? Politicians create crimes every single day, and this is what we're going after him for? He's the most investigated man, and I'll give him this. He has been looked into more than anyone else on the face of this earth.
Yeah.
And they got him for this?
They're going to seize his
bullshit.
property. That's what they're doing. They said he committed fraud already. The judge issued a summary judgment that Trump committed fraud. We're done. He said Mar-a-Lago's worth $18 million. The fuck out of here. That's bullshit. And everybody knows it. Doesn't matter. He bangs the gavel. Now, the continuing trial is to determine whether or not he falsified records. But if the judge already said a $100 million property is worth $10 million, then any record Trump has of his $100 million property is a falsified record. So next he's going to bang the gavel and say, oh, look, he falsified a record. Then he's going to say Trump owes us $250 million for fraud. Hey, that $10 million
Are you talking about the New York charge?
Yeah,
for
yeah.
the falsifying? But I thought that was a Stormy Daniels situation. Like the falsifying records. Was
No. Trump is being sued in New York.
Civilly.
Yeah, he's being sued in New York by the New York State for fraud. And what they're going to do is...
So they got the criminal and they got the civil one, yeah.
They're going to say that Trump is liable for $250 million.
Yeah.
The judge already ruled Trump's properties are worth 10% of what they're actually worth.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to seize Trump's buildings. So let's say Trump's got a building. Let's say Trump Tower's worth $100 million.
Yeah.
They're going to say, nah, it's worth 10. We're seizing that $10 million. Trump, you owe us $240 million. They're going to strip him of all of his properties and resources in New York. The judge ordered the dissolution of the Trump organization, which means thousands of employees lose their job overnight. He gave him 10 days to do it.
Wow.
So Trump's got to appeal this. But, dude, when we're at the point where Trump's lawyers are being arrested, and they've been already indicted, when other Trump lawyers since 2020 have been sanctioned to the tune of millions of dollars, and now a judge is ruling Trump's properties are worthless and he committed fraud, the next move likely is to seize his properties. Welcome to communism, dude. Like, or authoritarianism. Maybe communism's too pointed, but like, it's tyranny.
Yeah.
Now, fortunately, New York is not Florida. Florida's doing great. Ron DeSantis has done a really, really great job down here. Yeah. And so that's good. Yeah. There's Texas, there's a few other states. But I don't know what happens when some states are ruled by demonic. I'll save the loop.
I want to say it, but I can't on this YouTube channel. Yeah. I want to scream it right now.
Satanic people who with predilections for
small children.
There you go.
Gotcha.
When those kind of people are in charge in some states, I can't imagine that, some of these other states are going to tolerate it or want to be party to whatever it is they're doing.
Yeah.
I kind of get the vibe that like some of the stuff that Trump
polls real quick on the side.
Some of the stuff that Trump has tried to do and has wanted to do, like reindustrializing the United States and protecting the borders, is good messaging. Like some of it can be very good, and it should be that we focus on the message and not the man. It's very dangerous to get involved in cult worship of any kind, because if something happens to your cult leader, you might go insane. So people are obsessed with Donald Trump.
This is not it?
No, this looks like just polls in general. You need to look up Google search 538 2024 general.
Okay.
So you really want to focus on the message. It gets to the point. I like that Vivek's really hammering on like a lot of the messaging of like how to reindustrialize, and hopefully people don't put too much.
Vivek on, right?
538
two times
space 2024 general, and it'll give you all the polls. Now 538 doesn't track everything that Real Clear Politics does. I think RCP does a better job, but look, I didn't even check the latest polls. Yeah, scroll down. This looks like it's it. I haven't even checked the latest polls, but you can see Trump's up across the board.
Yeah.
They even got DeSantis beating Biden now.
Hit Control Plus a few times.
That's great. DeSantis was actually behind in some polls a while ago. To see him now crushing Biden is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah. What was
Look at this. Trump's up 10. That's got to be WAPO, right? Scroll down a little bit. That's premise? Holy crap, dude. What?
Wow.
Again,
guys, Washington Post, ABC put out a poll that found Trump was up 9 points, and another poll showing he was up 10 points. Panicked and said, disregard our poll. It's an outlier. Clearly this number is wrong. And now you got premise with 1,300 voters showing Trump up 10 points. Two of them.
Wow.
Look at what Nikki Haley. Biden wins. Look at Data Viewpoint trying to claim that Biden's beating Trump by 30 points. You're nuts. Oh, I'm sorry. That's wrong. They're completely correct. It's California. my bad, guys. Sorry. You're good.
Yeah, California.
Right.
What was it like having Vivek on? Because I do think he's a good I like him. I like what he's. I've watched a couple of his interviews. I think he's a very sharp guy. He's basically like a cleaner, younger version of Trump. I guess without all the baggage. What are you guys' thoughts? You guys had him on.
He's great. I like him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he wants revenge on woke people because they attacked his company. That's his story. If you read his story about how he wrote his books, how he
take us through it. Go ahead.
So Vivek Ramaswamy writes these books about he writes a book about how wokeness and ESG is really, really bad. It's screwing us over.
Yeah.
He launches a fund to fund businesses that oppose ESG, DEI, all that woke stuff. Strive.
The woke culture, which I think PBD has talked about that extensively.
Here's how I see him getting to this point. Kid from an immigrant family in Ohio, smart guy, starts a multi-billion-dollar pharmaceutical business. He's probably so proud of himself, so full of himself. Got his ego is up there, and he's like, "I did it, man! I did it." I'm saying this as in terms of endearment. Like the dude made it. He probably felt so good. So his story is, when the George Floyd riots happen, he gets told, "Hey, you got to put up a black square on your profile or whatever," and he was like, "Oh,
I remember that.
Sure, all right, whatever," and he does. Then they come back to him again. "Oh, now we want you to write a letter talking about how it was wrong, what happened to George Floyd." And he's like, okay, sure. And he writes this thing about, we want to be unified. You know, this country can stand together and we can do better. And then he puts it out. Then they come to him again and say, that message wasn't good enough. Make another one explicitly defending George Floyd. And he goes, guys, chill, what the, like, bro, I'm done with this. Because he refused and said, you got what you got out of me. They started attacking his company. Board members resigned. They started coming at him. And I think that's the moment where Vivek was like, I'm going to destroy you.
Yeah.
Like, this is a guy who was capable of building a multi-billion-dollar business. Now they're attacking him, insulting him. They're claiming he does all this bullshit or whatever. But he comes out and he addresses these things. Nobody's perfect. Fine. You don't have to trust him.
Yeah.
But I see this
links with George Soros and shit like that.
That's I don't know or care. That he was listed on like I think a WEF website. He sued them because they chose. He's like, I have nothing to do with this. But you don't have to trust the guy.
Yeah.
I hear that story and like pieces line up. The woke thing we've seen over and over again. They tried targeting him, getting him to bend the knee like they do to every company.
Yep.
And then finally he said, fuck this, dude. They won't leave me the fuck alone. Yeah. So he writes a book about it. Yeah. He writes a book saying, I've been looking into this. These people are crazy. He starts a fund about it, saying, we got to fund businesses that oppose this stuff. Yeah. He writes another book about it. And then finally he's like, I'm going to run for president. Yeah. So the trajectory seems organic. I think it's a dude who got attacked by woke people, but he's also a CEO of a multi-billion-dollar company who said, you don't know who you just fucked with.
Yeah.
What I like about him is he doesn't seem to take things personally, like attacks and stuff, and he doesn't seem to have personal vendettas against anyone. Like the way that he saw BlackRock and the way it was trying to buy us out, and was like, I'm to create something like BlackRock that's better, as opposed to let's destroy BlackRock. He wants to create a better system. I think that's a very valuable message.
He's not a coward. He's willing to have the tough conversations. And I was at the last presidential debates in California, and I think there's a reason all the candidates went after him. If you look at the attack, it was very coordinated, and they all went after him. And I think they did it for a reason, because he was one of the few people that actually stayed and talked to all of the media afterwards. DeSantis came in, only did Fox News, only did Hannity, ran out. Yeah. Nikki Haley, Fox News, Hannity, ran out. Mike Pence talked to one person, Hannity out. Other than that, it was only Vivek who stayed, took the questions, took the conversations, and everywhere I'm at, even at Porkfest, the peak of kind of libertarian autism, he's like, debate me. And he did for hours. He stood out there and talked to some of the most autistic people in the world and had conversations with them in a very nice way. Also, he's willing to listen to issues and then make up his mind later on them, not just give you kind of empty platitudes. I disagree with him on some policies, but when it came to the issues of Ross Ulbricht, a very important issue to me personally, he said, hey, I'm going to actually learn about this. He learned about it, and he's the only politician who said publicly that he would pardon Ross Ulbricht if he becomes president of the United States. If you don't know about that case, go to freeross.org, an important case that I think a lot of people should know about.
They're coming after Vivek for one big reason. It's not literally one big reason, but on the debate stage, the first debate, Vivek got attacked by these warmongers over his position on providing military funding to certain countries. And Vivek's attitude is similar to Trump. They should be defending themselves. We shouldn't be giving out all this foreign aid. And they went after him hard for it. And I was like, I kind of think that issue shows he's completely out of step with the neocon, neolib, the establishment, the uniparty. Because, dude, going on stage and being like, we have questions about the funding we're giving to this country is typically not.
Is it the country I'm thinking about?
Probably, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he said he would stop the war in Ukraine. He made very definitive efforts saying, "Hey, I'm not going to support this war."
He also
as well.
said these countries should be able to defend themselves, and we'll get them to the point where they're taking care of themselves, and we're not, paying their bills anymore. And Nikki Haley got really, really mad. But we'll save a little bit of that for
because she's a
Rumble, I guess.
bloodthirsty neocon that loves every war she sees.
So let's be real here. I like him a lot too as well, but can he actually win? I don't think he has a chance
No,
to win.
of course not.
Technically,
When you
yes.
look
I
at these
told him.
elections, it's not even about winning or losing. It's about having the conversation. So if you look at the conversations RFK is having, you look at the conversations Vivek's having, those conversations are transforming our society and are very important to have right now. So I think when it comes to, everyone's like, oh, who's going to win? I don't care. I want to have the real conversation about the real issues that actually is going to have American people think about what's really happening in their everyday life, because they're not getting the truth from the politicians. They're not getting the truth from the corporate media. There's a few standouts that actually echo some truths that reverberate with people and actually have an effect on society. So as far as the conversations, I think Vivek has one. I think RFK Jr. has one. And those conversations about things that we can't talk about here on this broadcast, especially when it comes to medical procedures, are critically important for everyone's future health and well-being. And I think it's a huge success. And we need more people to run. We need more people to debate. We need more people to argue. They're doing a great job, in my opinion.
Yeah. Who do you think is going to take the Democrat primary? Kamala?
No,
That's
it's,
what I think.
I think they're going to put Biden in there.
You think Biden's going to go?
I think it's
I
going to be
don't
Biden.
think so.
What do you think?
I think Biden's out. I mean,
Who do you think is going to go?
You know what, man? I don't know. It seems like the general view of people in politics is that the only way for Biden not to be there is if he has a medical episode and Kamala steps down, which is just insane to think could happen.
They'll lose the black woman vote on that one.
Yeah.
But then Gavin Newsom coming in, a white man, stepping in front of a woman of color is like, according to the left, that's just blasphemy.
Yeah.
But, my
And
advice...
Kamala's been in line, too. So it's kind of...
My advice to the deep state
She's
is
been on her knees, too.
you want Joe Biden to have a heart attack on stage and then Gavin Newsom to run out and save his life. Then Gavin Newsom does a press tour about how he saved the president, and that's how you get him in that position.
Kamala worked really hard, okay, to get where she is at right now.
It's not
where
real
she's
work.
at right now. She had to really, really put in a lot of dedication, okay?
Yeah, she worked
So
really
she-
hard.
Yeah.
Really hard.
Yeah.
It would have to be...
She went through a lot of scrapes.
I mean,
yeah, but I don't think that's real work.
What? Sorry, you don't think that's...
hey, technically, work is just measured in joules. I mean, we're working just by sitting here
I
vibrating.
guess technically, but these
She was a
feminists...
prosecutor before, if I'm not mistaken, out of San Francisco, right? She was the DA.
That
that's
knowingly
not what
punished
helped her.
people and kept innocent
Yeah.
people in jail for
Yeah.
marijuana offenses.
But how did she get to this position? Because everybody says, when Luke says she's worked really hard, he's referring to specific behaviors she undertook with another high-profile politician.
Exactly.
And I'm like, that's not work.
Politicians.
Yeah.
That's not
And
work.
So it
celebrities.
depends on how hard you
it's
sweat.
not.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's
Montel
like 3 or
Williams.
4.
Being a
You
3 or
just
4.
Be a woman and you get stuff
3 or 4.
happen to
Yeah.
you. So that's what it is.
I think it's Newsom. If we're going to talk about who's available, I can't. Biden's too.
I think it's going to be Biden, but I think there's going to be some kind of episode, some kind of incident, some kind of tomfoolery that's going to, of course, prevent an actual real election from taking place. But I think they're just going to force Biden in there with another incident that's going to allow the justification of that to happen. It could be war, which I think is a big probability. It's a big possibility. But there's going to be some October surprise, without a doubt, because there's no way they could get Biden in there now. Expect some major shenanigans before now and the election that's going to allow the Democrats to keep power, because these people are ruthless and they've been going out of their way. They destroyed the Constitution. They destroyed the rule of law to keep themselves in authority, and they're going to do more things because they're losing the grip of control. And it's terrifying. It's scary to see what's happening here, because it's very similar to what my family went through in communist Poland, where the government there didn't let go of control and was trying to, of course, just be an outright authoritarian government, which we're going to live here in the United States with.
Can we do the Rumble thing now? What's
Yeah,
the-
yeah.
We got a lot of things I want to say.
Yeah.
I want to talk about Kamala Harris real quick, but we got to wait till we're
Yeah. So
Chats in the
this is what we're
Rumble.
gonna do, guys. I'm gonna read these chats, and we're gonna switch on over to Rumble so that we can go full, talk about what we really want to talk about here. I'll read these chats real fast though, so give me 1 second here. We got here. Wyron goes, when is the stream with Zerka and Sneeko Myron, the Avengers? I know what you mean by that one. It'll come soon. AF Soldier goes, why won't Tim let Nick? He lets. We know which Nick. He lets people advocate for the murder and mutilation of kids on his shows, but not Nick, who has controversial opinions. He did have him on.
Yeah, we did have him on. He came on the show.
Yeah,
he left.
They
He
did
came
have
on
him
Kanye.
Tim, what are your thoughts on what's happening between? Oh, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the war guys here on Rumble.
Yes.
So just
I
stay
can't
tuned.
say that word.
Women being kidnapped. So don't worry, we're going to talk about that. And then we got, what else do we got here? How much to get Tim to take his beanie off? This guy fresh as
That's my
dog.
dog, man.
I don't know, man.
Yo, what's under there, man?
Nothing. Skin.
Okay.
It's beautiful.
60-minute man goes, USA and Biden ready to grab their ankles for that country. Oh, shit. Okay. We're definitely going to talk about that on Rumble. Tim, please vouch for Tim Smith. I'd love to see him talk with F&F.
Dave Smith.
Oh, Dave Smith's based.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he's
you
good
should
dude.
have him on the show. He's great.
He's hilarious.
He's a comedian, and
He
I'll
knows
get you in touch with
so
him.
much about
We'll make it happen
international
for y'all.
politics.
I'm French, I'm fucked. Did you know France is the only country that banned Rumble because they don't censor Russian media?
Yep.
My country, please consider discussing geopolitics with Nick and Andrew Bustamante. It'll be interesting. I'll bring Andrew Bustamante back, guys. Don't worry. And we will definitely yeah. What else do we got here? Shout out to Nick, man. People could say what they want to say. I like the guy. Tim, when you have a guest talk about Myron's 50 women comment, why don't you defend them and say that's not what they mean? Literally, you just laugh with the guest as if it was fact.
I don't know what they're referring to.
What does that mean?
Yeah, I don't know what he means by that.
Before
I know your point about it, but
50,
I'm pretty.
50 body count. It's not the end all be all,
Yeah.
but like that's like
I mean,
a
we had
staple.
that discussion.
Yeah.
Goku versus Superman. Wrong answer, Myron. Will Frank castle you, by the way, or you will see fresh, nasty feet. What?
Well, actually, my feet aren't that bad anymore.
Oh, good. You got a
Yeah.
manicure? Pedicure?
I just creamed. Well, lotion my feet.
Unleash the Temple.
yo.
Old Block Fury. W Tim, W Ian, W Luke. Y'all should make a Fed Reacts coffee brand. FNF asked them about parallel economy and platform.
That's pretty good.
Parallel economy and platform.
Yeah, so for Timcast.com, all of our members, when you sign up, the processor we use is called Parallel Economy.
Ah, okay.
So it's Rumble.
Yeah.
You guys use them? You should use them.
We'll probably
Because
probably should.
the next thing after they censor you is going to be debanking you.
Yes, yeah.
Your
Yeah.
customers are going to be like, you did good, and you're going to be like, hey, it's our own website, and they're going to be like, well, now your credit card transactions are gone. So that's why we use Parallel Economy. But
Gotcha.
in the general sense, Parallel Economy is we got to start launching our own brands and our own businesses so that we can't get banned, censored, or kicked out.
Who
Yes.
isn't there? Oh, man, who's the guy? Former Secret Service agent. He's on
Bongino?
Bongino. He's the one that one of the guys that started Parallel Economy,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
There we go. That's I knew
Yeah.
that sounded familiar.
Definitely
'Cause
recommend
for
them.
all
Shout out to
creators
him.
in this space, what's coming is next.
Yeah,
Like you said
they
before.
banned him off YouTube.
Ban
Like
your,
I mean, yeah, dude, it's
your
crazy.
page and then your accounts. Yeah.
What else do we got here? 1 year later, Yay and Nick Ray. Okay. Aladap, we need Tim for After Hours. Please explain what After Hours is. He would like to slay any trainer versus Brock from Pokemon. Also, RIP Roberto Jr. I mean, Nick's. Tim's always welcome, bro. If you want to be on the show when we have a bunch of chicks on.
I think.
I don't know if Tim wants that though.
I don't know if that's my like. What am I going to say? I don't know. I'll defer to you guys.
You know, you can ask questions about dating, marriage, relationships, whatever it may be, bro. Let's go. W Stream, love these three guys. Big fan. Timcast PS asking about graphene.
Oh no! Don't get him
don't do
started.
it.
Don't worry, I
Don't
won't
get him
answer.
started.
On Rumble.
Yeah, graphene's hot.
Tim Milk Toast Fence Sitter Ian, are you putting your finger in cow's mouth still? And Luke, damn, Seamus would be here, not him. No, Luke, we puke.
Actually,
Seamus
Seamus
is
is
here.
here.
We puke. Seamus is a coward.
Seamus is standing right over there.
Yeah, he's
Where is
literally
he?
here.
Yeah, he's
hanging out.
actually here, guys, in the studio.
Hi, Seamus.
He's been insulting us the whole time, mouthing awful things to us.
Shout out to Tim,
He
Luke,
was.
Ian, and Fresh Fit Crew. W Show, and huge shout out to Rumble, True Beacon, and Free Speech Facts,
Yes,
man.
that is very true.
They tried to do... Guys, what are your thoughts on... Well, you know what? I'll get that
Yeah.
here in a second, because we'll do that on Rumble. Because I know you guys are going to be controversial. What's the next one? Jeremy, congratulations on the new studio. FNF always bringing us fire content. Free speech. We
Shout out
got
to
you,
you, bro.
man. Like I said, Tim, would you ever have?
No.
He's already had him on.
You already did.
You already had him on.
Who's that?
Nick.
Well, we'll answer it better
Like
on
for a
Rumble.
long form.
Okay. Tim, what will occur between now and November 2024 that will set it off? I think we talked about that. Shout out to you, Yvette Simone.
Probably a war.
The Witch King of Agmar. Yo, Myron, have you managed to get in contact with Dr. Stephen Greer, WFNF? I'm trying to get a hold of him. Maybe Tim has his contact. Any of you guys got Stephen Greer's contact info?
No, but I like him.
UFO guy?
You know?
I gotta check. I don't know. Maybe
Y'all believe in aliens?
I mean, but it depends
the
on what you
government
mean.
wants
No.
you to believe in aliens.
Yeah.
That's why I don't believe in aliens.
I think they
I
exist,
used
but
to
they
believe in
haven't
aliens.
visited.
That's a smart answer.
And then he goes here, and then I think this is the last one. Then we're going to switch over to Rumble, guys. Ask Tim and crew about Eliza Bleu supporting the lying Andrew Tate victim on his show. By the way, I love to support both Timcast and FNF. Who is they though?
It's tough to, speak for other people when they come onto your show and say things that you don't understand. You just kind of got to do your best afterwards, do damage control, and be honest.
Yeah.
I think
mean,
if you look at that show, I think we did a good job asking key pointed questions.
One thing I like about you guys is you guys bring people on from different walks, people that might not necessarily agree with you guys. You know, you guys bring in a lot of contrarians, and I think that's like good to be able to have that discourse.
We always ask for proof, and we did in that particular incident. I made it. I was on that show. I made sure
that's
I did.
a soccer player, right? Or is it? No, not a soccer player.
No,
She's
no.
like one of these Me Too type chicks, right? If I'm not mistaken, this Eliza Bleu?
Something like that. And like we've been like pretty defensive of Andrew Tate too.
Yeah.
You know, I'll tell people innocent until proven guilty, of course. But when it comes to Tate, when it comes to Julian Assange, when it comes to now Russell Brand, I don't believe any of this garbage.
Crazy, right?
Yeah, it's like their only go-to tactic. They tried doing it to Matt Gaetz too.
Yep.
It's like,
That
get outta
rugby
here,
player.
Yeah, nobody's safe, honestly.
Guys, come on over to Rumble. We're gonna go ahead and switch on over. So rumble.com/freshfit, guys. We're gonna end the YouTube stream here. We're gonna talk about the war going. Well, actually, Israel just declared war. We're gonna talk about that here, guys, on Rumble. So rumble.com/freshfit. Come on over.